Alex the historian here. Just go ahead and adjust my camera. So I'm going to wait for people to arrive because it's the silliest story. You can schedule a live stream on the computer for a later date, but when you try to join that live stream using your phone, it doesn't let you. You have to create a new one. So everybody got prepared for this other live stream that is now not even like on. So I have to wait for people to join this one. So I'll repeat that again for people coming in. I just gotta wait for it. Unbelievable. Hello everybody. Let's see if anybody is. Yeah. 5 people so far. Alright. Hello Mark, how you doing? Hello Sir Shipbuilder. Everything's good. Everything's good. Nothing much. Just wanted to hang out with everybody today. Hello Railfan. Hello Francisco. Hello Jason. And Mark is from the Philippines, so hello, Mark. Alright. Yeah, I figured I should explain to you guys the reason why you have to come into this other live stream is because I scheduled it a couple days ago using my computer, but for some reason when I tried to log into that same live stream with my phone, it wouldn't let me. It told me I had to create a new one. It wouldn't even let me go to the scheduled live stream. So a whole bunch of people are probably waiting for that other live stream to start and haven't realized that this one did. So, yeah. Hello, Star Trek freak. So anyway, just kind of wanted to hang out with people and just chat. This is, no particular subject. It could be really anything that we discuss on this channel and stuff. You could ask me questions or whatnot and just hang out, I feel like I don't get enough of that, Anywho, but I don't know how many of you have seen. Oh, hello, Pinballs. He says hello from Phoenix, Arizona. Hello there. I used to have family in Phoenix. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so you guys have probably seen the post I put out the other day. It was just about some updates and things coming to the channel this month and stuff like that. And so essentially what's happening is I'm working on 3 videos. It's a 3-part series, and it's going to be really cool. It's about the war years that the Queen Mary had spent in service. So it's all about, from 1939 to 1947, just her service with the British Admiralty and exactly how much the ship actually means to our American history and culture. Because I've seen so many comments of people who are just like, oh, this ship, it has nothing to do with the United States of America. It's a British ship and blah, blah, blah. They can love their ship. We're going to love our ship, the SSUS. And things like that. And it drives me crazy because the SSUS is a great achievement in terms of engineering and such. But the Queen Mary, while it was built in Scotland, it was generally considered a British ship, it mostly served Americans its entire life. The most people that ever traveled on this ship, either in peacetime or in wartime, was Americans. And so the thing is that that's why this ship was, back then, considered just another part of America. It was just a quirky little neighbor that we saw weekly in New York, and so, and then of course when it came to the war, there was so much that the ship did for the American troops and for the United States of America. It was the reason why, the Queen Mary and Queen Elizabeth were one of the biggest reasons why we no longer had to fight, in the European war. afterwards we had to focus on, on Japan and such. But yeah, so it means a lot. And so I was just like, there is so much to tell about the 6 to 7 years the ship was, in wartime service. I was able to split it up into 3 videos. I am currently working on the first video. I think they're really good. I'm really excited about them. And then afterwards I'm going to do some more Disney ride history. I think I'm going to do like a 2-part series on something. I have literally like a bunch of already like partially complete videos that I have to work on to get those out. I can't work on multiple videos at once. It takes so much out of me. But let's see what people are saying in the chat so I can keep up with it. Alright, let's see. Paul says, "Hey Alex, I appreciate what you do here. I worked at Disney back in the mid-'80s, so I love hearing about Disney history." Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I love talking about Disney history. Especially the rides. Sir Shipbuilder says, "Hey Alex, I think you might think this is cool, but I built a large-scale ocean liner in Minecraft." Oh wow, neat. I know some people have been working on different ships, like the Queen Mary and some other things. Some people have been working on Titanics and stuff. Really amazing work. It takes a lot of work to build those things. Because, I mean, frankly, if you think about it, it's not like building like a skyscraper in Minecraft or anything like that, where a skyscraper is just, this solid shape, single, whatever. But ships are really hard to build in Minecraft, especially with all of the different curves and circles and angles and shapes. It must take a lot of work. And the size, oh my gosh. Openum says, "I love the Queen, but are you working on any Disneyland videos?" Yes, I am. Just not at the same time. I have to do things one at a time because it just takes so much work. Kyle Mayer says, "Your Disneyland Railroad videos are some of your best work to date." Thank you so much. I think so too. I really was proud of those videos. Eric Ramirez says, "Hey you think it would be possible to have kinda like an aquarium ride in Tomorrowland Lagoon where the rise vehicles are little subs and then you could be a big glass, or there could be a big glass tube you go through?" I think so. I once had an idea like that. Like, I was like, well, they could kind of make it like an aquarium. Some aquariums have outdoor sections that, but like usually the larger animals in there and such. But I thought about that, and then there would be like a tube you could go through, so it doesn't actually, like, no vehicles actually come in contact with the animals. That'd be a good idea. Pinball says, "Do you hear that Knott's was shutting down Montezuma's Revenge for a year for a complete overhaul?" I actually did see that in an article, but I don't really follow Knott's Berry Farm news. I'm not really a theme park fanatic. I just like Disneyland. That's really the only theme park, besides Animal Kingdom at Walt Disney World, that I really, really like. Those are the only 2 parks. I'm just not a theme park person. Haley says, "Thoughts on Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser?" It doesn't look terrible. I've seen terrible. But it doesn't feel like a Star Wars hotel. Like, it feels like just a generic space-themed hotel. I think a lot of people were saying that what you expect from something Star Wars is kind of like a used universe kind of thing. And while the prequel movies did have that fresh, brand new look to them, that's not the look that most people feel nostalgic for. And I think that's where Disney missed the mark, was that people are nostalgic for the old Star Wars look. Even if they still like the new characters. The new characters are based in a used universe as well, where everything is kind of beat up and stuff. So, honestly, it was kind of confusing that they wouldn't go for that. I'm trying to think, maybe from a health and safety point of view, it would help inspectors who are looking around the hotel every couple of months to every couple of years, to be able to easily see where there's dirt and grime as opposed to where there's fake dirt and grime. There might be some issues with how the inspections must be done, and because I remember when I was opening a cafe, we wanted this like really like industrial look to it, and there was a certain point where the inspector said, okay, like you can have that appearance up into a certain point, but once it gets close to the countertops where we serve food and stuff like that stuff has to appear clean and brand new. So that way any inspectors in the future can look at it and go, okay, I can see where there is real dirt and stuff like that. So that's what I'm thinking in my head, is maybe that's why the Star Wars Hotel doesn't look like that, is because as a hotel it's under extreme scrutiny. But at the same time, it's like, well, then if you can't do it that way, then how do you make it feel like a nostalgic Star Wars hotel feel? I don't know. Let's see. Paul says, Alex, you ever been to the Princess Louise? As a kid, going there for dinner was a huge treat. I'm not old enough to remember that. Princess Louise was, it was way before my time. Well, I wouldn't say way before my time. I think the last time it was actually, like, open, I don't have my notes in front of me, but I want to say in my video I said it was 1990, I think it was, that the ship sank. I wasn't born until 1992, so I wasn't even born yet. But I will tell you, if I was, I would have definitely gone to that ship. I love stuff like that. And what's funny was, in the last live stream I did, someone had actually mentioned to me that there was another ship that I might be interested in covering the history of. SS Keewatin, which apparently is older than Princess Louise. Keewatin was, what was it, 1907, I think it was, SS Keewatin, 1907. Beautiful ship, and it's almost 100% original. Looking around at it, it doesn't look like it had been gutted or anything over the years. So all the original wall paneling, the furnishings, maybe not the furnishings, but the fittings in the walls and stuff like that, such as the chandeliers, all that, everything is still there. And it looks, at times when you look at the pictures, it looks like a White Star Line ship, which is really cool. So, unfortunately, the SS Keewatin, which up until recently, up until the pandemic, was operating as a walkable museum, is no longer open, and there's kind of a question as to what's going to happen to it. There is no major issues. It's not like the Queen Mary where, it's got some things it needs to pass inspections. The SS Keewatin seems to be in very good shape because the volunteers that took care of it did so well, and but it just seems that the owner of the ship, for some reason, is no longer interested in operating it as a museum where it's at least. I think they're interested in moving it, which is creating controversy. But hopefully it will reopen. I know one of my friends was like, hey, I want to go there and see it. And I was like, if you go, film it, because I could use that for my channel. Because I would like to go there. I don't think I could. It would just be... I actually have other plans that I want to get to. I want to, visit the Queen Mary in Southern California when it reopens later this year. I want to save up money to do a few other things, and so it's like I can't plan for the Keewatin. Let's see. Kraken says, hey Alex, do you think Disney can/should bring back 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea theming back to the parks? That movie's success funded the majority of Disneyland's construction, after all. The problem isn't that the movie wasn't successful. The problem is that the movie is not popular among current guests. It's one thing to look back at something and go, well, that was cool back then. But you look at people today and you go, like, they wouldn't even know what that movie is. most people don't even know what the book is, which is sad. There was a time when everybody knew what that book was. Um, so I don't know. I mean, they managed to create an interesting attraction at Disney Sea, but it's interesting because people like that because it's a good attraction. But I don't know if many people like it because they've seen the movie, and that's the funny part. So I don't know. I don't think the Southern Californians, though, would see a 20,000 Leagues theming as exciting. I think they might think of it as kind of old-fashioned. Because every park at every different region and country is different. People just have a different mindset. They enjoy different things. And it's the same thing for Southern California. They like big boom, fast, and that's why you go to Walt Disney World and everything is slow and steady, and it's different, different mindset. So I don't know. I'm not sure Southern Californians would enjoy it. Let's see. Hello, Dave and Gian. Glad you're looking forward to the new videos. Star Trek Freak says, one of my favorite videos you produced was about the Disneyland monorails. Oh, thanks. Yeah, that one was hard work, too. Let's see. Paul's Adventure says, what are your thoughts on Bob Chapek, the current Disney CEO? The cast members hate him and want him out. I agree with them. I don't want to say too much about Bob Chapek. I don't agree with his business practices and standards or the way that his method is for the company. I would like to see someone with more creative, kind of like a visionary. I mean, that's really what the company is. The company is known for their visionary thinking, and it helps when their executives are that way too. That's where the company really shines. So I think that's something I wish I would see in terms of the management of the company. But I don't want to say too much because, it would not be good to kind of go on that. Hey Alex, I just bought a dinner menu from the Queen Mary dated the 1st of November 1948 and a old postcard. Oh wow, that's really cool. 1st November 1948. I wonder if that's a significant date. I can't think off the top of my head. I know it came back into service in 1947. So, but anyway, that's really cool. Do you know if it's, let me know, do you know if it's a first class, tourist, or I'm sorry, first class, cabin class, or tourist class dinner menu? I'd like to know. The one I have behind me, which is above this postcard, is a luncheon menu from, I think at the time it would be second class. Which I can show you in a second if you guys want to see it. ScanFan says, Alex, love you and your videos. Thank you for your great content. Thank you so much. That's so nice to say. Blue Alpha says, I have a question. What's your question, Blue Alpha? I'm trying to go through as fast as I can so I can see. Haley says, what's your favorite Disney movie? My favorite Disney movie when it comes to animated is Pinocchio. That's one of my favorite Disney movies. I just love that story. Otherwise, it would if it was Pixar, I would probably say Up. Up makes me cry like a baby. You know why? Because Mr. Fredricksen reminds me so much of my grandfather. He looks just like him. I remember when the movie came out, I looked at my sister. I said, doesn't Mr. Fredricksen look like Grandpa? And she was like, yes. So he looks and talks like Grandpa. Loved it. Let's see. Eric says, "What's your favorite vehicle on Main Street at Disneyland?" Mine is a tie between the horse-drawn streetcar, horseless carriages, and fire engine. My favorite Main Street vehicle. Well, if the Disneyland Railroad counts, I would say Disneyland Railroad. But if it doesn't count, I would say the horse-drawn streetcars. That's my favorite one because I do love the fire engine. I do love all that, but you can't beat riding behind the horses. That's just so cool. ScanFan says, I agree. Chapek is not the right fit for Disney with the new chairman now. I hope his days are numbered. I don't think Chapek is a evil guy. I don't want anything bad to happen to his career, but I do feel that maybe he isn't the right fit for the company. I think that again, I would like to see more of a visionary step up, someone who can lead the company with creativity, not just as a creative lead, but creativity of their own. Um, for an example, sometimes Michael Eisner had some really great ideas, or at least he could bounce those ideas off of people because he had that creative mindset. So that's something I would kind of like to see. Um, uh, Blue Alpha says, why did the White Star Line choose the quadruple expansion engines instead of the new turbine engines for the Olympic class? From what I hear, and I'm no expert on White Star Line, I'm still learning. I have books and I'm still reading them, but from what I understand so far, is that essentially the turbines were still at that time somewhat of a new technology. They still had their bugs, like they vibrated crazy if you didn't install them in just the right way and all of that and do just the right fine tuning calculations. It vibrated the ship a lot. Mauritania had that problem. Even the Queen Mary had that problem in 1936. She had horrible vibration problems, and months later they had to go back and correct it. Of course, I think that actually had more to do with her propellers than anything. But on these steam turbine driven ships, their propellers tended to spin faster, which caused cavitations, which is what created the vibrations. But again, that's a whole other thing. But I think that the reason why they did it was because quadruple expansion engines were a tried and true technology. They'd been around for a long time. People understood them. You didn't have to train people how to do them because they've already worked up through the ranks to know how to operate them. And then turbines were still somewhat new for large ships at the time. So it was kind of like a hassle. Cunard went through with it because they were like, hey, we want the fastest ships in the world. And they had to deal with the consequences. I'm not saying at all that the Mauritania was not a enjoyable ship. It really was. They managed to fix the issues over time, but those were experimental ships essentially. So I think that's why. Um, uh, let's see. Jeffrey says, "Hi Alex, glad you're doing more live streams." Yes, in fact, when I start that second channel, because I know I talked about it on a previous post that I did, I think was it yesterday? A previous post that I'm in the process of moving to a new apartment. I got, I think, like in a month, so I have to start packing everything up. But when I do, I'll have a lot more time to work on videos. I'll have more space, so I can actually like do different kinds of projects and things and stuff like that. And then I think one of the things I really want to do, which I mentioned in the post, was that I wanted to start a second channel to go along with this one. The second channel would be more personal. So while this channel focuses on documentaries and you don't really see me in front of the camera too much, the second channel will be a lot more of me on camera. So it would be like live streams. I would live stream. I want to see if I can do it every day. That'd be kind of cool because I plan to have tea at 4 o'clock every day. That's kind of like something I've always wanted to do. Just have like some tea sandwiches, maybe, a few biscuits, that kind of thing. So, and then just while I do that, I can sit here like this and talk to you guys and just hang out with anybody who wants to do that. If I tried that on this channel, it would kind of work, but not everybody is here on this channel to talk to me. So some of them just want to see the history. So, but the other channel would also have like entertainment videos. So it would show me building things like models. Like I have a model of the Titanic. I have to refurbish it. It's really in bad shape right now. It's very old. Well, not very old, but it's old. So it needs to be redone, which I plan to do. So I'll make a video showing how I'm like fixing it up, like before and after and all that. I have model railroads that I haven't even worked on in 2 years because they've been in the garage, and now I can put them in my living room and I can like work on those, and I can make videos showing the steps on how how I build it up, you know, and stuff like that. And then I like to cook once in a while. Well, yeah, no, I would cook a lot, but anything like super nice, I would like to film that. You know, like if I'm making hot dogs, I'm not going to film that. If I'm making like, I don't know, stuffed chicken breast with, you know, scalloped potatoes, you know, I might want to film that and like show how I do that. And it's just like these little interests I have here and there. I have lots of different interests, and I could just make videos about that and share it with that channel. And like I said, I want to try to do a daily live stream so I can just connect with people every day. You know, that'd be kind of cool, because there's some people who, you know, who don't get to connect with people like us, people who nerd out about Disney, about ocean liners, about trains, like cooking. You know, some people just, the crowds that they know are interested in different things. I know that's for sure. You know, all my friends are in Southern California. You know, people I know up here, not interested in this stuff, and that's okay. So that's kind of like what I want to do. Let's see. Let's see. Everyone says, I want to visit Queen Mary too. I drove past it, and they had loan a guy posted there specifically to point the occasional car to the exit and back onto the highway. Yeah, the city of Long Beach has paid for security to make sure no one actually like climbs aboard the ship. Alright, let's see. Sir Shipbuilder says, hey Alex, feel free not to answer this, but if you don't want to, but you said in one of your live streams that you were schizophrenic. Could you possibly talk about it? Sorry if it sounds weird. No, it doesn't sound weird. In fact, I feel like most people don't talk enough about that kind of thing. When I was younger, I used to have issues with seeing things that weren't there, talking to people and thinking that we had conversations that we never actually had. Those problems started getting worse as soon as I first started working. My first job was as I was 17 years old. I was working at Disney and the Hilton hotels at the exact same time, and my ability to work was going really great. But as time went on, I was having a lot of difficulty. At one point, my coworker, he tapped me on the shoulder and he says, are you okay? And I said, yeah, why? What's going on? He goes, you've been standing here for 30 minutes and we've all been trying to talk to you and you will not respond. And I was like, what? No, that's not at all what happened. And so over time with like issues, my inability to remember things, having trouble and stuff like that, I eventually had to go see a doctor. And they pointed me to a psychiatrist because they said, we can't find anything that we think is physically wrong with you. So I went to see a psychiatrist, did a couple of sessions, and they said, our working diagnosis is that you have schizoaffective disorder. And after several more months of treatment and stuff, and weighing, you know, the responses to the treatment, they finally said, yeah, we're going to call it. You have schizoaffective disorder, which is essentially schizophrenia plus a mood disorder. So I have manic depressive disorder, which means that one day I could be really in a good mood, good spirits, and I might even clean the house for 9 hours straight because I can't stop. And then the next moment, I'll be very depressed, and I won't want to get out of bed, and I won't want to talk to anybody, and so that's what manic depressive is. And then I have schizophrenia, so together that makes schizoaffective disorder. And so I was diagnosed with that in 2011. As time went by, it did get worse. I was on medication for a long time. The medication really only made me feel tranquilized. It didn't actually like help, and I was just kind of like, this isn't working. And I have issues with memory a lot of times, honestly. People will talk to me, and then days later I'll be like, I have no memory of you guys talking to me, and that kind of thing. So yeah, and part of the reason why I started this channel was because I was afraid that I would lose my memory about Disneyland. And so I was like, I'll make a whole bunch of videos that I can look back on one day and be like, that's what I used to know about Disneyland. Because I knew all this crazy stuff that not a lot of people knew at the time. And so, yeah, that's why I started the channel. And oddly enough, since I started the channel and I've, been working at it and talking to people a lot and making new friends over being Alex the Historian, it's actually improved my life. I am right now feeling better and more focused than I was, when I was first diagnosed. It's not something that gets cured, it's not something that goes away, but it is something that you can manage. And I think that one of the greatest blessings is being Alex the Historian. I consider Alex the Historian a different entity. I don't consider him necessarily me, I think that when it comes to me, I'm someone who lives up to being Alex the Historian. And so ever since I have been Alex the Historian, I think my life has improved. I think that that my ability to communicate with people, my ability to remember things, my ability to overall live life better has improved. So I'm actually very grateful for this channel, for everybody who watches everything, because for me it's not just, I'm not just grateful that people are watching. I'm grateful because they've given me some of my life back. And that is a big deal to me, I never expected people to actually watch my videos when I first started. I thought it would just be something I'd post on YouTube, and then I'd come back and be like, oh, I'm going to watch this old thing. And then next thing you know, it's like 22,000 people have subscribed, and I'm, going, full on making stuff and trying to expand and see what else I can do. And it's really great. So, yeah, just a little positivity for folks who are experiencing some kind of, mental health issue. Let's see. Thoughts on Downtown Disney expansion. I love all your videos. Downtown Disney expansion. I've heard that they're actually demolishing the AMC theater to build some new stuff. And I don't know what's going to go in there, but I think it's a good idea. I mean, I used to love going to the movie theaters, and that AMC theater at Downtown Disney was my favorite one because almost no one went there. And when I would go there, everything was clean because Disney insisted it was clean, which is great. AMC theaters are normally not as clean as that Downtown Disney theater was. So I enjoyed it for that reason, and that it was always empty. But from a business standpoint, you don't want your theaters to be empty. So you can kind of see that AMC probably wasn't even interested in renewing their lease anyway. So I think something had to be done about that AMC theater. And I'm actually glad to see that there's going to be new stuff going in there. The only thing is, I don't think I would ever... I don't know that it's something that would benefit me. I don't go shopping at Disney, it's everything is overpriced, but so I don't know. But it's nice to see new things built, let's see. Pinball says, when Disney finally decides to remodel Tomorrowland, I would like to see Star Tours moved and refreshed version of Body Wars installed as a nod to Adventure Through Inner Space. Your thoughts? Well, you know, it'd be kind of interesting. See, I used to think, well, I just want to see those simulators get turned back into Adventure Through Inner Space. Because I would have... Adventure Through Inner Space is one of the... If people said, Alex, what ride would you go back in time to see? I would say Adventure Through Inner Space. I want to see that ride so bad. And a People Mover, but honestly, Adventure Through Inner Space is better People Mover. But that's one of the rides I want to see. So I thought, you know, wouldn't it be great if they got rid of Star Tours and replaced it with a modern Adventure Through Inner Space using those simulators? Because we all know Disney does not like to buy new things. So obviously they're going to try to refurbish those simulators if they can. And I think it'd be kind of great to use them for Adventure Through Inner Space. But I've been warming up to the idea of half and half Adventure Through Inner Space / Body Wars. So not necessarily shrinking down to the size of a snowflake or something, but maybe you have random experiences. You know, one time you ride it, you go into the human body. Another time you ride it, you shrink down to the size of a grain of sand. Or, you know, another time you travel inside a snowflake. So I thought, you know, that'd be kind of cool to see these random experiences of shrinking and see the world of inner space each time you ride it. So I think that'd be kind of a cool idea. Jake Goodwin says it's a first-class dinner menu, I believe. That's really cool. Okay, so November 1st, 1948. I'll show you my dinner menu since I didn't show you guys last time. I have to be really careful with it because it's old. So this is what they call tourist class luncheon menu from 1939. Of course, the classes changed after the war. Tourist class. So essentially what I'm saying is this is second class. Tourist class. Had to double check. The date, I know you guys probably won't be able to see this. This is a live stream, so the quality is really not good. But the date is dated Wednesday, August 30th, 1939. If you guys know that just a few days after August 30th, World War I began when, you know, Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain had declared war on Germany. The Prime Minister of Britain, that is, had declared war on Germany. So this was the final peacetime voyage of the Queen Mary just before the war started. It was on this voyage, as the passengers were on their way to New York, that they gathered around the ship's radios to hear that war was declared. And one of the passengers on this voyage was comedian Bob Hope. And after the announcement of the war, everybody was in a somber mood. And another ship, I want to say the Athenia, if I remember correctly, was hit by German torpedoes off the coast of Scotland and sunk. And that made everybody fully aware that their voyage to the United States on the Queen Mary made them a moving target. So everybody was in a very somber mood. The captain of the Queen Mary, Robert Irving, had asked Bob Hope, he said, could you perform for the passengers? Because everybody is devastated right now. And he said, of course. So he went first to the first class main lounge, did his usual performance set, made everybody happy. Then he went to the second class tourist lounge to perform there, and then he performed for the third class as well. He did it all just to lighten everyone's spirits on their final day of the voyage on their way to New York. So yeah, but that's what this dinner menu is for. From this menu, it appears that either the passenger or the steward who took their order marked off what foods they want. So for the luncheon menu, they marked that they wanted baked jacket potatoes. They wanted roast lamb with mint sauce. They didn't mark salads or sweets, but they did mark vanilla ices, which is ice cream. So they wanted vanilla ice. Sorry, I just laughed at that. And then they didn't mark cheeses, but they did mark that they wanted tea instead of coffee. So whether this was a passenger or a steward who marked this, I don't know, but it's just interesting. Like this is a lunch choice that someone made in 1939. It's just weird to think, like, I wonder what these people were thinking. This was obviously August 30th, so they didn't even know the war was happening, but there was a good hint the war was going to happen because everybody knew the tension in Europe. And that's exactly where the beginning of my 3-part video series on the Queen Mary's war years begins. It begins with this voyage. Let's see. All right. Let's see who else is in the comments. Yes, Jason, you have that other menu I want to see the photos of. Let's see. Try to catch up on some comments. Yeah, Eric, you can't pet the Main Street horses because they're working. You don't want to distract them. In fact, what's interesting is if you're a horse trainer, there's some general commands that every horse trainer learns. The funny thing is, for Disney, they don't teach them all of those commands. Some of them are different. Because at a Disney park, I mean, at a lot of places, but Disneyland particularly, you're going to have people who are going to try to play little pranks on the horses. And, you know, and I don't know any horse commands, but they might say, like, giddy up or something, and then the horse might just take off when they're trying to load people in. So actually, they don't teach them the traditional, or at least the commonplace commands. They teach them alternate commands. So that way someone can't just walk by and go, giddy up, you know, like, they have to know Disney's commands. I don't remember them, but I do remember talking to the cast members. They said that some of the commands are different, just so that way no one else can command the horses but them. So, interesting little fun fact for you. Alex, what would... okay, so Hobgoblin says, Alex, what would Walt Disney think of Disney today? He would see a company that is trying to grow through profits and data, a company that is not necessarily led by vision, but rather money. I think he would be upset that things aren't being done for the sake of doing them right or well, but for the sake of efficiency, cost cutting, and stuff. I think that's what Walt Disney would see. In his time, he did certain things like those. Let's not sweep that under the rug. You know, he didn't pay people. Walt Disney didn't pay people fair amounts. You know, you had Imagineers like Rolly Crump admitting that he had to have a second job installing, you know, sewer pipe lids. I forget what we call them. The big discs. He had to install those as a second job because he couldn't afford Disney. But at least the reason why he says he stayed at Disney was because he felt like he was making a difference. He worked for a company that he really liked, and he had a boss he really liked. So that's probably one of the big differences. As for what Walt would think of Disneyland, it's really hard to say. I think that some things would really surprise him positively, and some things would disappoint him. So he might marvel at some of the technologies and the storytelling since his death, but I think that some of the operational ways of the park operates, I think that some of those things would kind of bother him. Haley says, which do you prefer, Disneyland's 50th anniversary or Walt Disney World's 50th anniversary? I think Disneyland's 50th anniversary was better. I lived through Disneyland's 50th anniversary. Oh, I'm living through, well, Disney World's 50th anniversary, but I experienced Disneyland's 50th anniversary, and that was amazing. Nothing beat it. It was so cool. It was so, I didn't want it to end. It was so cool. Hello, Sarah. Good to see you. Uh, Tricojo says, I noticed that you were remaking your Disneyland videos. Yes. So I had a lot of copyright issues on my videos. You see, I was using the same song on every video for my intro and such, and the song was marked copyright free and royalty free. So I used it. Unfortunately, the person who owned the video suddenly decided to copyright claim one of my videos, and I argued that they can't do that. They said the video was copyright free and royalty free. And I had this little argument with them, and that led them to copyright claim all my videos. All of them. So they would not accept anything except a takedown, which means remove the video, like literally delete it from YouTube. You can't just put it private or anything. You had to delete it. It was a takedown notice. And I wouldn't have been able to defend myself from it. So I had to do it. So I personally still own copies of all the videos that I made. I made sure to save a copy of it to my hard drive and then upload the video to YouTube. So even though I deleted the uploads, the copy is still on my computer. But as I was going through it, going, okay, I'm going to re-upload it, I was going through it and I'm like, these are not the quality that I make right now. These are not up to the standards that I make. So I thought what I'm going to do is I'm going to re-narrate all of them. I'm going to put better music in all of them. Not just the stuff that was copyrighted, but I'm going to put music that fits the video better. Like I had It's a Small World video that for 20 minutes was nothing but the Small World song, and I'm like, come on, I can't do that. I can't do that to people, not anymore. So I'm actually going through each one of them, through each one of them and updating them, making them a better quality. And that's why it's taking so long to just put them all out, is because I'm almost remaking them, and I'm also inserting new information. So there's certain videos, like the monorail video, where I've inserted new information. There's videos like, what was the recent video that I did? I can't, off the top of my head, I can't remember, but I did a video where I just put like a whole bunch of new information in there that I didn't have before, because I was able to update it since I had made it. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why it's taking a while. But yes, that's also why I don't have them on there anymore. Ryan Hines says, Alex, your favorite nighttime show at Disneyland? Is it the fireworks, Phantasmic, or the Main Street Electrical Parade? You know, if I had to choose, it would be really a tie between the original Phantasmic and Remember Dreams Come True, the fireworks show. I don't just like any fireworks show. Remember Dreams Come True is the fireworks show. That was the best fireworks show Disney has ever created for Disneyland, and I hold on tight to that opinion. But I can't decide between the original Phantasmic and that one. Both are really good in their own ways. The only difference is that I don't mind standing 45 minutes to see Remember Dreams Come True, but I will not sit crisscross on the ground for 45 minutes to watch Phantasmic. It's not worth my legs going numb and my back hurting. So, yeah. Eric says, here's a question I heard from someone. When was the last time a movie really made you feel anything? For me, last time was Inside Out 6 years ago. Feel anything? Like a Disney movie, I'm guessing, not just any movie. Last time it made me feel something. I would have to say Inside Out as well, 6 years ago. None of the Disney movies make me feel anything anymore. I might chuckle at something that's funny, but I don't think, in the end, their new movies are at all the quality that they used to be. Um, one of my one of my favorite Disney movies is actually Princess and the Frog. I actually really connected with Tiana because when I was younger, I wanted, I was working on becoming a chef. Like I was going to culinary school. I really wanted to work on things. My favorite foods was Southern food, and I had this idea that I would create this like Southern restaurant one day. And then like I ended up seeing Princess and the Frog, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is like precisely what I love. And plus, I love New Orleans. Like one of my dreams is to go visit the French Quarter, just film the entire French Quarter, experience all of it, walk through it, eat the food, all of that stuff. Like I love the French Quarter. So that movie being based in New Orleans and especially the French Quarter in certain scenes at least, great movie. That's one of my favorite movies actually from Disney. Uh, oh, okay. Thursday, April 1st, 1948. Okay. Uh, ScanFan says, I suspect Walt would not be happy with Tomorrowland in its current state. Oh, definitely not. He would not be happy with that. I think he would understand, though. He had the same issues, which is why his Tomorrowland didn't change until he died. Um, I just learned that Tomorrowland had an escalator to the top of Space Mountain / Captain EO Theater. Nobody remembers it or acknowledges it was removed. It wasn't even that long ago, relatively um, speaking. Yes, there was an escalator. It took you right where there's a sign currently for what is it? I don't even know what the sign says. Tomorrowland Theater. I don't know. I don't know what the sign says currently, but the sign at the center of the entrance to the Magic Eye Theater was where the escalators were that came down. It wasn't even escalators, it was a rubber ramp, just like at the end of Disneyland's Haunted Mansion where you go up the rubber ramp. That's what it was. Um, and so yeah, you could get taken to the top. And the reason why they removed it um, actually had nothing to do with the budget, really. It was because what would happen is the queue would get full of people up there, and then people would board the ramp, and the ramp never stops moving, so they'd get piled up at the top, and people would get like trip over each other and stuff like that. It was just causing havoc, and they had cast members at the bottom going, okay, stop here, okay, now you can go, stop here, now you can go. But in the end, it was just kind of like, it was only making things worse. So I think that was one of the major factors in them determining that they just wanted to get rid of it. Plus, it was kind of sitting there in the middle of Tomorrowland. It just kind of like, it blocked views and such. It just wasn't a good idea anymore. But yeah, there was an escalator that took you to the top. Um, yeah. Let's see. Who else? Yes, everyone, please press the like button. Especially on the history videos. If you like any of the history videos, hit the like button on those. Conrad says, how about crumpets? I think he's talking about my tea. How about crumpets? What are crumpets anyway? From my understanding, crumpets are a lot like English muffins, except one side is toasted, the other side isn't. It's just full of holes. And you put like jam and stuff on top of it, and the jam seeps into the holes. So it looks a lot like an English muffin, but I've yet to taste it. Don't know if it tastes the same. Let's see. It looks like I'm kind of way behind. Sorry, I'm just reading everybody's comments. Some of them aren't even directed towards me, so I'm just kind of going past them. Sir Shipbuilder asks if I've heard of the rock band Creed. Um, it's possible I have, but at the moment I don't recall. Because I've listened to a lot of music in my life, like a lot of music. So, but I don't remember everything I've listened to. Um, let's see. What's up, everyone? Hello, Nathan. Hello, Conrad. No, the escalator isn't there anymore. They took it out. Uh, let's see. Haley asks, when do you think the Splash Mountain retheme will happen? I honestly don't know. Because I know that the refurb that's either, I don't know if it's happened yet or it's currently happening or if it's scheduled to happen soon, is just going to be a run-of-the-mill refreshing of the ride. It's not actually going to be changing the ride to Princess and the Frog just yet. So the Princess and the Frog retheme will happen sometime soon, I think. But the thing is like Disney hasn't mentioned it, and I don't know if it's because they're still developing it. Like, I mean, come on. Like, I heard as far back as 2018 that they were going to, retheme it. I mean, there was even like rumors back when I first started at Disney in 2009 when Princess and the Frog the movie came out. There was rumors from like my friends who were in Imagineering who said that, oh, there was an idea being passed around about retheming the ride to Princess and the Frog, but the rumors didn't actually gain traction until 2018 when I was hearing it from a bunch of former cast members and former friends and stuff like that. And then finally, they announced it in 2020, I think it was. Um, so I don't know how long they've been working on it. They claim they started working on it in 2019, but I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to say. When you work on your videos, does I think that I'm not sure if you were able to. Oh, does it help with depression? When I work on my videos, yeah, I think it helps me feel a lot more productive. It keeps my mind off things. There is something to be said that keeping yourself busy and stuff really helps. It's easy to want to just lay in bed and just sit there and not do anything because you don't feel motivated to do anything. But I always try to stick to some kind of like a schedule. Like, I mean, I'll admit at the moment I don't stick very close to a schedule, but I do know that I get up, I have some toast, I have some coffee or juice or something. I check my emails. So I have this little routine kind of, but when I move into my new apartment, I'm going to have an even more set routine. I'm going to actually have times of days where I designate for specific things, such as exercise. I haven't been exercising that much. I feel like it's because I'm not managing my time well. Because I do love to take walks. Oh my gosh, I live in one of the most beautiful areas I've ever seen in my life. So I love taking walks. I just haven't been making time for it recently. And that's not good. So what I'm going to do is when I get to my new apartment, I'm going to have my own little schedule for how I do things, get some exercise every day, have tea at 4 p.m. every day, wake up at a certain time every day, go to bed at a certain time every day. So I'll have things like that. And having a schedule, I think, really helps with staying productive. So yeah, it does help me in that sense. Let's see. What do you think of a Yesterland? Um, Well, like Frontierland, or because I know like the west side of the park is all like the past, so I'm not really sure. Uh, oh, a Yesterland type of park you can see in VR. Okay, I think actually that would be really cool. I would love to see someone develop like Disneyland from a certain year, um, and then you can explore it in VR. That would be so great. I think VR is a great way to experience things that no longer exist. I personally, I love VR. VR games are fun, but I'm always the kind of person that just loves history. I want to see things as they were that they aren't anymore. So I think VR is a great way to do that. Let's see. Yeah, I'm still catching up to everyone's comments. Oh my gosh. Um, uh, Haley says, Alex, do you think Mr. Toad's ride should come back to Walt Disney World? I feel like they don't have enough rides, so for that reason I'm going to say yes. But if they had enough rides, I would say it's not necessary. But they don't have enough rides there, so I'm going to say yeah, bring it back. They could use more rides. Um, Keith says, Alex, did you know Lego has put out their biggest Lego model ever of Titanic? I saw one put together in a toy store and it was gorgeous. Yes, I saw it actually. Someone was showing it on their channel. Really cool. You know what's really cool though is someone custom built a Queen Mary in Lego. That model, I think, is something like 12 feet long, I think, and it's on the Queen Mary right now. It's on display. I mean, it's not open. The ship isn't open right now, but it was on display, and I wanted to see it when I went to visit the Queen Mary, but it was closed. This was a weekend, by the way, that we went. So it's like, how do you not have that stuff open on a weekend? It's the weekend. Anyway, but yeah, it wasn't open when I went. So disappointed. Uh, Robert Villanueva says, what era of Disneyland would you have liked to have gone back to if you could? 1995. And the reason I say that is because I think, in my personal opinion, 1995 is my #1 year I would want to return to Disneyland. Because in that year, in, I want to say, summertime, they still had rides like the People Mover and the Skyway, though I would never go on the Skyway, but they had the People Mover. No, they didn't have the Skyway. Skyway was removed in 94. People Mover. What else? They had something else that I was like, oh, they still had this and that. Well, anyway, they had the People Mover in 1995 in summer. And that's also at that time when they first introduced Indiana Jones Adventure. And Indiana Jones Adventure, I think, looked better in 1995 than it does today. So yeah, that is a great year for Disneyland. And I remember Disneyland in the 1990s. I can't talk enough about how great it was. Things were not exactly cheap for the time, but they were not overly overpriced. And then, of course, I can't get enough of those handmade churros that Disneyland used to sell. Handmade, made right to order, deep fried right in front of you, not the cheap frozen stuff that's taken out of a box and thrown into a conveyor toaster. Disneyland used to do stuff right, and I miss that. NCC says, how much has Disneyland changed since the last time I was there in 2001? We'd be here all day if I told you. Let's just say bigly. Alright, Princess and the Photographer won't happen until after the 50th anniversary of Walt Disney World. Okay, Marcel says, why do you think Mauritania is better than Olympic? Personally, I prefer Olympic staircase, lounge, smoke room, and other public rooms. Olympic and Titanic's stairway is really beautiful. Again, my preference between the two is really more of like divided by a hairline. It's such a small divide, but I still prefer Mauritania more because I think overall, in terms of square footage, let's just say, it's more beautiful than Titanic. There's a lot of areas where it's just bare bones, and the beauty is where it's at, as they say. It's where it's at. So when you get to the beautiful parts, it's really beautiful. But Mauritania, they actually put more in the ship that is beautiful. Even the third class areas in Mauritania, I think, look better than Titanic. You know, you look at the third class saloon on the Mauritania, it's nice. It's nice. It's nice wood paneled walls, you know, nice seats, nice plush seats and all that. You go look at the third class, you know, saloon on Titanic, and it looks like a prison cell. It's just bare steel, white steel, with rivets and everything sticking through, and the tables, you know, it just looks like a prison. It doesn't look like a nice dining saloon. It looks like a prison dining saloon, you know. And so I would say Mauritania put more beauty in their square footage than Titanic did. And yeah, Titanic has some things that are nicer, like their staircase. Of course, I think Mauritania's staircase looks nice in its own way, especially with the French lift. That looks so nice. And Lusitania with that main dining room, beautiful. But I still prefer Mauritania more than Titanic. I think it just looks overall nicer. Yeah. And I like the fact that Mauritania had the blue ribbon for 19 years. Sir Shipbuilder, I'm so sorry to hear about that. I hope that your 2022 will go a lot smoother. You know, just hang in there, you know. But it is very, very sad to hear that. Unfortunately, a lot of people have lost people recently. Genko says, do you know what happened in Disneyland during the day that Walt Disney passed away? They kept the park open because they felt that Walt would want the park open. But as far as I know, the attendance was low. It started off decent, but the attendance kind of fizzled out because it was kind of a sad day. You know, everyone in the world knew Walt died. It wasn't like today where, like, you know, I don't know. Let's just say Betty White recently passed away. I was devastated. It didn't stop people's lives from happening, though. They still went through with their day, and everyone is very sad, you know. But when Walt Disney passed away, my grandma used to tell me stories about, like, what it was like. Because I asked her, I said, Grandma, do you remember when Walt Disney passed away? What was it like? She's like, oh, it was like the world stopped. You know, my grandma didn't work for Disney. She was a receptionist or secretary. I don't remember which one. She's worked as both in her life, but she was a secretary or receptionist for a place. Her coworker burst into tears. Her coworker was a few months pregnant, I think. Her coworker burst into tears because she realized her child would never get to meet Walt Disney. And so, yeah, Walt Disney's passing really did bring the nation to a halt, and the whole world discussed it for months and months, you know, in some cases, you know, years. So it was something that devastated everybody. And it's easy to forget that because, you know, we think like, oh, celebrities pass away all the time. But when Walt Disney passed away, it left a void in the world. And that is amazing to think about. Haley says, do you think Country Bear Jamboree should come back to Disneyland? I mean, if it's popular enough, then I'd say it earns that right, but I personally have never liked Country Bear Jamboree. I don't find it entertaining. Dom de Maria, thank you so much for the donation. You wrote, your haunted Disneyland stories are awesome. I lived in Virginia City, Nevada during the entire COVID pandemic. That was insane. Oh my gosh. Yeah, thank you so much though. Those Disneyland haunted stories. It's crazy the things I've seen at Disneyland. Pinball says People Mover closed August 3rd, 1995 after a breakdown. Yeah, and I think, if I remember correctly, Indiana Jones Adventure opened in May. So, middle of summer is when People Mover and Indiana Jones Adventure were there at the same time. In my opinion, perfect time to visit Disneyland. Keith says, have you caught the series Floating Palaces? I found it on YouTube and found it fascinating. You have piqued my interest in steamships, and I thank you sincerely. I'll have to look it up. I haven't heard of it. Let's see. NCC638 says, do you like Artemis Aquitania? It has its moments, but I don't like looking at the exterior of the Aquitania. I was just like, every time I look at it, I'm like, what were they thinking? That looks like one of the... Not necessarily ugly. I think... People are going to hate me right now. I'm so sorry. I think the outside of SS Normandy looks ugly. Aquitania is almost ugly. But on the inside, I think Aquitania looks pretty nice. There's a reason why they call it the ship Beautiful. But yeah, I don't like looking at the outside of Aquitania or SS Normandy. I don't like looking at the inside of SS Normandy. Let's see. Haley says, I would have loved to see the original Mickey's Toontown in 1995. Yes, I remember the original Toontown. It was so cool back then. Everything worked, everything was moving, and the Jolly Trolley, I remember riding the Jolly Trolleys. I almost slipped out of it. My dad held on to me. Because it really did kind of like rock back and forth. And the bench seats were so slick that you just kind of slid off of them. At least the kids did. The adults were able to hold on, but yeah, original Toontown was really neat. It was something else. And then the ball pit. I didn't want to go in the ball pit even as a kid. I knew it was going to be full of gross stuff. Because when I was a kid, I actually went to like a McDonald's ball pit, and like someone had like puked all over the balls, and I was like swimming right through it. Oh my god. Horrible story. After that, I was like, nope, no more ball pits. Never again. Never again. Oh my god. Sir Shipbuilder says, may I ask what your last name is, Alex? No. Let's see. Jenko says, what happened in Disneyland during 9/11? They closed the park, so the park never even opened that day from my understanding, because on this side of the coast it happened early in the morning. The park wasn't even open yet. So they didn't open the park. There was a big scare that the park would, with the fact that it could bring in massive crowds, would be a target. There was a lot of paranoia back then. I believe there was a list created of 10 likely places in the U.S. that could get hit, by terrorists. And among that was Disneyland and Walt Disney World. And so, yeah. There was some real scares back then. Yeah. Uh, Duchess of Essex says, "Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. I look forward to watching all your updated Disneyland videos." Thank you so much. It's always nice to hang out with everybody here. Everybody's so nice. Mr. S says, "Hello from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Could you please share where your love of ships came from?" My love of ships started with Titanic. So I didn't discover Titanic until the movie came out in 1997. Back then, my grandpa took me and my sister to go see it. There was this theater that played movies that normally had like an R rating, but they would cut out the bad stuff. And so we saw the edited version of Titanic, and I loved it. I thought Titanic was awesome. And ever since I became kind of like obsessed with learning about it, although not as obsessed as Disneyland, so for the longest time I didn't actually know much about it. I still don't know much about it compared to other people, but yeah, I always liked looking at it, and I wouldn't say like I think, and so 2012, yeah, 2012 I built this model because that was the 100th anniversary of Titanic's sinking slash maiden voyage, whichever way you look at it. And I was like, I'm going to build a model of Titanic. So I built this in 2012, back then, without much research as to the color scheme or anything, and so now it looks very inaccurate. But so eventually, when I refurbish it, it will look a lot closer to what it actually looked like. And yeah, and then I wouldn't say my ocean liner obsession, it didn't take off until I visited Queen Mary in 2020, in January of 2020. Because after I visited the Queen Mary, I mean, I had visited the Queen Mary several times in my life, as a kid, as a teenager, but I was like, Titanic's better, like that was just automatically my response. Titanic's better. But then when I went in January 2020, because my friend Chris was like, we have to go, we have to see this. I should probably lower my volume too. There we go. You don't have to hear the bell ringing every time. It wasn't until then my friend was like, we have to see, Queen Mary, this is going to be so awesome, you're going to like it. And I was like, I don't know. And then he's like, come on. I'm like, okay, I've been there before, it's kind of cool. So I'm like, I'll have fun, I'll film a vlog and it'll be fun. I went there and I saw something in the ship that I never saw in my youth, as they say. Like the ship suddenly appeared so beautiful to me, and the story behind it. I did a little bit of research before going there so I could give some fun facts, and the funny part was that in the vlog the fun facts were all incorrect. But it made me appreciate the ship more, and after I left that day I became obsessed with the Queen Mary. I became so obsessed that after a year I was like, I have to make videos about this. I'm learning so much. I need to do something. Like, the ship needs its voice. Its history is kind of dying out in society compared to how famous it was when it retired. So I was like, we need to make people interested in this ship again. So that's why I started doing what I did. And then from my Queen Mary obsession, I started really discovering more ships like Mauritania and Lusitania and Oceanic and SS Rex and stuff like that. So as I learn more about the ships, I start to find other ships I think are pretty, like the SS Princess Louise, and most recently the SS Keewatin. So it's kind of cool. It's like my ocean liner obsession is growing from there. But the Queen Mary currently is my most favorite ocean liner of all time. I think it, at the moment, I think it is my most favorite. I'm not going to say the best, because people are like, oh, I know what the best is. But, Queen Mary, beautiful. Yeah, I don't know why I don't like Normandy that much. I think it just feels really gaudy, like overly fancy, for the sake of being fancy, not for the sake of actually people enjoying it. Because, not very many people actually enjoyed Normandy. A lot of people felt very uncomfortable being in Normandy. Like, it's, when you build a palace, it's great to look at for a couple of hours, but no one would really want to live in it. Like, you'd think you'd love it, but it starts to feel cold. It starts to feel uninviting. And that's exactly how the passengers of Normandy felt. They thought it was glamorous at first, but you know, with how upscale it was, including the fact that you could not walk around in comfortable clothing at all during your voyage. You had to always be, if you're a man, you had to be dressed in a suit or a tuxedo. If you're a woman, you had to be in a nice gown or dress. Like, you could not be walking around in casual clothing like some people did during certain times of the days on Queen Mary. Because again, even Queen Mary had, dress codes for people. But yeah, there were certain appropriate times to walk around in comfortable clothing. But Normandy there wasn't, and so and Normandy, it was lacking any kind of warmth. Queen Mary, they went with this nice golden wood color that I have up here. Like, my friend Steve made this shelf for me because I said I want it to remind me of the interiors of Queen Mary, and it does. You look at it right now, the color is just the same. So Queen Mary went with these nice, warm, beautiful colors of wood. Normandy went with marble and glass and crystal, hard objects that look and feel cold. And it doesn't feel at all inviting and lovely. It looks beautiful as a jewel, but not something to live in. And that's the problem with Normandy. And then, of course, I think on the outside it just looks ugly. Just like, I don't like the way Normandy looks on the outside. Can Chris do a history video of the Minions ride? Get out of here. NCC says, what do you think of the current Queen Elizabeth, Queen Victoria ships, the cruise ships? They say, I know they are cruise ships, but I think they look better than most other cruise ships. I would agree, actually. I'm not a fan of cruise ships generally. In fact, that's one of the reasons why for the longest time I wasn't accepting of the Queen Mary 2, even though it is technically an ocean liner. I just looked at it and I was like, that looks like a cruise ship to me. But I started looking more into the Queen Mary 2, and I was like, okay, I see where it's beautiful. I see where it still has that ocean liner heritage. And then when I looked at the Queen Elizabeth and Queen Victoria, on the outside, yes, they still look like cruise ships. I don't like the way they look on the outside, but the inside is pretty nice for a cruise ship. It doesn't look so tacky like a lot of cruise ships do. A lot of cruise ships just have these tacky colors and tacky designs that I'm just like, it's not me, like, I like stuff that feels authentic and original, so Queen Elizabeth, Queen Victoria ships, pretty good, yeah, compared, I wouldn't go on them, I'd rather be on the Queen Mary too, to be honest. Lizzie says, hey Alex, did you delete your older Disneyland vlogs? They had such good info, love your videos. Yes, I got rid of them because, again, of copyright issues. I filmed so many that if I tried to just remove the copyright stuff and re-upload it, it just wouldn't be. And the other problem is, while I saved the history videos on my computer, I did not have the storage space to save all the vlogs. So even though I had to get rid of them because of the copyright issues, I did not have backups. There was no way to get backups. So they're gone. And it's unfortunate, but, a lot of the information I tell in there is stuff I tell in my history videos anyway. So maybe eventually the stuff in there will come back and you'll see it in terms of the fun facts and things like that. Or in live streams where I talk about them. It's really unfortunate, but yeah. Jason's like, Steve. Yeah. You know what, though, to be fair, one of my favorite things, I don't know if you can see it, but my friend Jason from Interactive Realm, he's in the comment section right now. He made me that It's a Small World sign. Why don't I bring it down to show you guys? Oh. This is one of my favorite things. So, because I love It's a Small World. I don't know if you can see that. So it's modeled after the Small World main entrance sign. This is made of wood. It's got different layers to it. It's all laser cut and hand assembled. Again, created by Jason from Interactive Realm. He's in the comment section right now. You can go to his website, interactiverealm.com, and you can purchase things like this from his channel. He's also got painted stuff too. He's got some really amazing painted signs and things. Some of people's favorite signs to purchase from him is his Pirates of the Caribbean sign. He's got, People Mover sign up there too. All kinds of great stuff. And then you can also speak to him about getting custom built stuff, not just signs, but something that you might really want, and he can, talk to you about building it for you. So these are one of the things I really treasure. This is one of my favorite things. I'll have to put it up in a minute. But, yeah, so if you want to talk to him, he's in the comment section. Let's see. Steve's talking about my shelf. He says, it's fun to make for you. He'll make me another one. Actually, I will need another one because I'm getting so much Ocean Liner stuff that I kind of need a place to put it, and the one shelf isn't doing good enough, so I might need something like that. And I'm thinking about getting something that looks like a small coffee table, not a big one, a small coffee table from the Queen Mary. I want something that looks like it. The only thing is that it is kind of a challenge because Art Deco furniture isn't square. It's the Queen Mary furniture, the little tiny coffee tables from the staterooms are round, and they have these curved supports and things like that, but and then they have the wood grain crisscrosses into a pattern. So it's kind of a challenge, but I've always wanted one for the last year. So Steve, I'll talk to you, or maybe even Jason, about that. We'll see. It's going to be a challenge. Mr. S says, I agree with hating on Queen Mary 2 upon first sight, only to end up admiring it because all the modern cruise ships just look like hotels on a ship these days. Yeah, I originally didn't like Queen Mary 2, the second ship, not the original, in case people are wondering. The Queen Mary 2 I thought was it looks like a cruise ship, but when I really looked at it, I was like, this is not a cruise ship. This ship is legitimately 21st century ocean liner. It's not, it doesn't have 3 funnels like the original. It may not operate on steam, but it is the modern iteration of an ocean liner. It's very different from a cruise ship on the Queen Mary 2, and that's why I want to take a transatlantic voyage on it. Let's see. Ooh. Pinball says, Alex, think fast. The Space Place restaurant or Tomorrowland Terrace? Neither, thank you. Neither. Interactive Realm says, checks in the mail, Alex. Let's see. Mr. S says, do you prefer the old Test Track ride or the new Cars ride? I grew up with Disney vacation tapes in the 90s, yet could never go around, and Test Track was the newest ride from those vids growing up. I rode the original Test Track in 2006, and of course I've been on the Cars ride at California Adventure. Test Track, there was something to it. I liked it. But I would say I like Radiator Springs Racers more, because Radiator Springs Racers is just immersive. It's a movie I like. I really like the original Cars movie. there's something about it that I love, which is odd because I'm not a car person. Like I'm not like obsessed with cars like some people are, but I liked the Cars movie, and the ride was just really good. Very well themed, especially the exterior. Um, the original test track was good though. What I do want to see is the new test track. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I'm wondering if that's just because people usually resist change. I don't know. I want to see for myself if it. I mean, I've seen lots of videos, and I think it looks great. To me, I think the new test track looks better than the old test track, which again is another controversial opinion. But when I rode the old test track, I was like, this isn't a Disney ride. When I rode it in 2006, I was like, this isn't a Disney ride. So the new test track. Okay, the new test track doesn't look all that Disney either, but it looks cool. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's just because I really liked that Tron Legacy movie. That movie had a huge impact on the parks. A lot of things started adopting this Tron look after that movie came out. Let's see. Jenko says, what do you think about the ships of Disney Cruise Line? The exteriors of those ships don't look so bad, especially the original Disney Wonder, because it's smaller. It looks more like an ocean liner. They definitely were going for an ocean liner look when they designed those ships, and the interiors are usually very nice. The only thing is I don't like the new Disney Dream. I think the inside of the Disney Dream just looks terrible. I mean, my friend Chris agrees with me. He's like, I don't like the look of Disney Dream. The inside looks uninspired and stuff. I'm like, yeah, I don't like it either. So, but yeah, the other ships look nice. I would never go on a Disney cruise though. I used to think that, well, if I ever did go on a cruise, it would be a Disney cruise. But now I'm like, now that I know about the Queen Mary 2, I'm going to ride the Queen Mary 2. I'm not going to go on a Disney cruise. I don't want to go on a cruise at all. The only reason why I'm thinking about going on the Queen Mary 2 is because that's not technically a cruise if you're going to England. That's a transatlantic crossing, which is the fancy way of saying, this is an ocean liner. So, let's see. Ryan Hines says, hi, Alex, before COVID, when was the best time during the year to visit Disneyland? Halloween, summer, or the holidays? Halloween's cool. Summer is hot. Although so is... Well, you know what? To be honest, all year in Southern California, it's hot. The worst is fall time. You'd think summer would be the worst. Fall is the worst to visit Disneyland because it is so hot. And even in December, you have 90-degree days in December. It's like, oh my gosh. But in terms of enjoyability, I like Disneyland during Christmas time. It's absolutely beautiful there. It feels like an old holiday outing. It feels nostalgic for a nostalgia I've never experienced before. That's how I can describe it. You walk down Main Street during Christmas time, and you feel like you're in the Victorian age during this beautiful postcard Christmas. Here's the best way to describe it. If you've ever seen those Thomas Kincaid winter paintings, and you're like, ooh, that looks like so cozy and nice. That's what Disneyland feels like during Christmas. It feels like you're walking through the ideals of a Thomas Kincaid painting. And yeah, I love Disneyland during Christmas time. So if you had to choose, I would highly recommend Christmas. Although Christmas is one of the hardest seasons to get to Disneyland, and the reason why is because it's so awesome. So good luck if you do visit during Christmas time. Shipbuilder says, have you heard of the Sea-Wise Giant? Yes, I have. RMS Queen Elizabeth. So sad that the fact that it burned and sank. NCC says, another ship question. Thoughts on the Italian line SS Michelangelo and SS Raffaello? Might be a contender for Normandy and ugliness. I think I've seen them. I don't recall at the moment, but yeah, I do. If I remember correctly, yeah, they weren't all that nice looking. Trico Joe says, have you ever been to Universal Studios? No, I've never really had a desire to. I think I used to want to see the Jurassic Park ride, but at the same time, not really. I think at the moment the only thing I would go to Universal for is to see the Harry Potter land, because I grew up on the Harry Potter books and movies. So it'd be kind of like a dream come true to see them finally, you know, like in real life and, you know, touch things, you know, it'd be fun. But I was talking to my friend Chris about it. I said, you know, honestly, it wouldn't be worth it for me to go to Universal. I'm too fat for all their rides. They make all their rides seats so tiny. And my friend Chris is an average sized person. He's not like, you know, he's not chubby. He's an average sized person. He can barely fit in some of the rides. You know, he says it's uncomfortable. I'm like, I'm not going to fit. Like most people my size cannot fit in Universal rides, which is just odd to me. Like, why would you build rides like that? Like, Disney doesn't do that, and that's why Disney is the best. But anyway, yes, if I were to go there, it would be to see the Harry Potter land, but I probably maybe might not ever go, just because I don't fit in rides, and I don't see the point in spending all that money to go into a park that I can't go on anything. So, yeah, there we go. Haley says, thoughts on all four Walt Disney World parks? I really hate the Hollywood Studios park. I visited that before it was revamped with the Galaxy's Edge and all that. Hated it back then, and it doesn't look like it's changed very much since then. Not enough, at least for me. Don't like it. Epcot. I'm so sorry, people, but boring. I did not like Epcot. The World Showcase was nice, though, to look at, but not to experience. I did not like the rides in World Showcase back then. I'm trying to think if they've made any changes that would make it nicer for me to enjoy. I don't think. I mean, there's Frozen, but I'm not a Frozen fan. I don't even like the Frozen movie, so I don't think I would enjoy that one. So, not Epcot. Magic Kingdom. Magic Kingdom is just okay. It's not. It's. I don't even have the words. It just seems like a halfway done, you know, Disneyland. It doesn't seem like they really put too much into it, you know. So sad. I wanted to like Magic Kingdom, but I just didn't. Animal Kingdom. I have nothing but praise for that park. That park was so immersive, so beautiful. I loved all the animals. I didn't even mind that there wasn't that many rides, because the park was so beautiful and entertaining. I haven't seen the new Pandora Land, although I do want to see that. But yeah, what I saw in 2006 was also when the Everest attraction was still new, and I got to ride it and see the Yeti move. You know, I told my friend Chris that, and he was just like amazed. He was like, "What? You saw it move?" I'm like, "Yeah, I remember it. It was really cool." So yeah, Animal Kingdom. I love that one. If I did go to Walt Disney World, I think my preference would be Animal Kingdom. Beautiful park. But one Disney park I definitely want to see is Disneyland Paris. I've always thought in photographs it looks beautiful. You know, I've got people telling me all the time it's a great park. It's wonderful. So I'm like, okay, I want to see Disneyland Paris. That's one that I look forward to seeing someday. Yeah, Keith, I lost my love of Disney from my treatment at Disney. I like Disney's history, but I'm not a fan of what the company has become today. You think the Cinderella castle will go back to the opening day colors of the castle, or the rose gold paint will be the new look for the castle? By the way, which one is your favorite Disney castle? My favorite Disney castle is Disneyland's Sleeping Beauty castle. It's the one I grew up on. It's the one I think is most cute, and most whimsical, most fun, I think. Walt Disney World, I don't know if they're going to change it back anytime soon, if that's what you're asking, but I think it's going to be like what happened at Disneyland, where they gave it a new color scheme for the 50th, and then it stayed for like, several years. So I think that's what's going to happen. I think they've painted it, and it's probably going to stay that color scheme for several years until they finally just decide to repaint it back to its original color scheme. Although there is one thing to be said, that at Disneyland, they never technically went back to the original color scheme. And part of the reason why is because not Walt Disney or any of the Imagineers liked the original Sleeping Beauty castle color scheme. They kept it that way because, it was painted that way, and they were like, okay, all right, we'll keep it. And then they never did anything about it. So that's the reason why Sleeping Beauty castle currently does not look like 1955 Sleeping Beauty castle, is because the Imagineers and Walt never liked it that way to begin with. So it's retained some of its kind of hot pink look, some of its, like vibrant blue roofs with the stars and all that, I like the way it looks currently. I really do. I like the way it looks currently. I don't think it looks cheesy like some people think it does. I think it looks great. I should end this live stream soon. I've been sitting here for a while. Devin says, hi Alex, have you watched the behind the attraction? Did you feel like you, being a historian, learned anything from the show? So I don't want it to sound like I'm a know-it-all. The show didn't really teach me anything new, but what I will say is there was a lot of audio and video I had never seen before, which I enjoyed so much. It was great to hear new recordings or not new, but resurfaced recordings of John Hench talking, of Walt Disney talking, of all these Imagineers, and seeing the footage. Like for one thing, before that show came out, I had never seen the footage of Imagineer Vic Green riding the Matterhorn bobsleds before it was completed, like him just going around and riding the bobsleds. Like, that was footage that I honestly thought was lost to time, so that was really cool. So I did like the show Behind the Attraction. Oh wait, no, I'm thinking of Imagineering Story. Behind the Attraction, no, I saw Behind the Attraction. Sorry, I was thinking of Imagineering Story. Behind the Attraction was a terrible show. I disliked that show with a burning hot, I hated that show because it was very incorrect, and it was very, the editing was so jumpy, and it was just all over the place, and all the sass, when the Imagineers would say something and the narrator would be like, okay, it's just I hated that show. I hated it so much, and it was so inaccurate. I was just like, oh my god, where do these people hear this information from? And then, and then there was, they did a Tower of Terror episode where they literally, I don't know if you know the YouTube channel Art of Engineering. Yeah, Art of Engineering. They used his design. He shows how the engineering is done on rides like that, and so he did one on Tower of Terror. They used his designs in the show and didn't credit him at first, and so he was really upset about that. He talked to them and he was like, hey, you used my designs and stuff like that, and so they eventually put him in the credits of the show, thankfully. But yeah, that was geez, these people, it was, you could tell that what had happened was they were just in such a rush to make a show that they didn't really give much thought as to like what they were doing. So yeah, did not like that show. But the show I would recommend is Imagineering Story. I'm sure all of you have seen it, but for those of you who haven't, it's a great show. I recommend that one. Um, Haley says, "What do you think of over the seas Disney parks?" The only one I can see myself enjoying is Disneyland Paris. That's it. Um, Again, I'm not a theme park person. Like generally, I just like Disneyland. You know, that's it. Like, but you know, I have found things I enjoy in Animal Kingdom, and I do think there's things about Disneyland Paris I will enjoy, but the other parks I don't see myself enjoying. All right, and lastly, Ryan Hines says, "What are your thoughts on World of Color?" You know, it's mixed. Visually, it's beautiful. Visually, it's a nice show. It's lacking a storyline. It's lacking, you know, good thought. I mean, really, it's just a mishmash of Disney songs that they choreographed water to. And in some cases that's okay. But, overall, I enjoyed it. I would say that if I were to recommend it to someone, I'd say yeah. I'd say I used to, in fact. I used to always recommend World of Color to all the guests when they came to the park because I was there in 2012 when it first. Well, 2011 was no 2010 they tested it. 2011 it became really popular. 2012 was when they revealed that it was part of the whole thing. Okay, anyway, semantics, but yeah, I do overall enjoy World of Color. Yeah. Let's see. Aaron says work as a host for World of Color DCA. There was a time when I worked in guest relations that this was when World of Color was still new, and they stationed me as the what do they call it, the VIP section. And so I remember this was like literally again, this was like when the whole park had just been refreshed in 2012. It had reopened, and I remember one of the coolest things. One of the coolest things was was World of Color was still new, so a whole bunch of celebrities were coming to see it, and they were all sitting in the VIP section, and I would be stationed there once in a while to sign them in and stuff. Thing is that I sometimes I know celebrities, sometimes I just don't. And so this one time, I mean, a lot had gone through, and I don't even remember all of them because I don't even remember their names. That's the sad part. I probably saw like some great people that I know, but I didn't know when I saw them who they were. But one of them was a funny story. Jerry Bruckheimer, the director most known for the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, was there to see World of Color. And he came up to me, and I'm like, okay, do you have a reservation to see the show? He goes, yes. And I'm like, okay, what's your last name? And he just looked at me funny. He's like, Bruckheimer. I'm like, okay, how do you spell that? And he's like, BR, and he's going through the whole thing. And I was like, he's acting like I should know who he is, but I'm like, I don't know who he is. I mean, it didn't occur to me. And then after I went home and I was like, told my dad, I was like, yeah, this guy, I think he's a celebrity, Jerry Bruckheimer. That's Jerry Bruckheimer. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, it's the director of Pirates of the Caribbean, all the movies. And I was like, oh, really? It suddenly occurred to me, I'm like, I know this guy. I've seen his face. I don't know why I didn't recognize his face when I was there. But yeah, that was one of the cool things. There was some other celebrities too, some really cool people. Whoopi Goldberg was there. I didn't personally speak to her. I was in training at the time when she showed up to see the show. My coworker signed in Whoopi Goldberg, but it was cool to see her from a distance and stuff and all that. So yeah, that was kind of cool. World of Color VIP section 2012 was the bee's knees. Oh, another celebrity I encountered in 2012 while I worked in guest relations was oh shoot, his name escapes me. He played in the show Everybody Loves Raymond. He played Raymond's older brother. That guy is also in several Disney movies. He played Brother Bloat in Finding Nemo. He played Gosh, she's in another Pixar movie. I don't remember. But yeah, so that was a great guy. Nice guy. I didn't have a conversation with him, but when I talked to him, he was very polite. I like that. Anyway, I should probably end this thing soon. We've been here for almost 2 hours. Hello, Regina. Waving, she says, waving at you from Hillsboro. Waving at you from where I am. I can't say because I don't want people to walk up to my house. But let's see. Kevin Fry says, shoot, missed the whole stream. That's okay, you can go back and watch it. I'm going to end it soon anyway. I've been here for so long. Brad Garrett. Everyone's saying Brad Garrett. Okay, that's him, yeah. He was a nice guy. Really nice guy. Let's see. Alright, everybody. I am out of here. Thank you so much for joining me. Maybe we'll do this again next week. Again, I'm getting closer to the move day, so it's going to be a bit hectic coming up. But thank you guys so much for joining me. I enjoyed this a lot. It was great to just talk to people and stuff like that. Be aware, I'm going for, hopefully, Friday, the first of my 3-part series about the Queen Mary's years during World War II as a troop ship. And then after those 3 videos are released over the next 2 weeks, because it will take me 2 weeks to finish them all. After those videos are made over the next 2 weeks, then will come, I think, a 2-part series about a Disneyland ride. I haven't decided which one I want to do yet because I have a whole list of them that are partially complete, and I just want to choose the ones that I think will really fit with this time of year, or at least fit with the schedule. And then I think I'm going to try to do a live stream every week until I move. I'm going to see what I can do. Anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me. Look forward to the new content in February, especially the 2nd channel in February. And I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye. If I can figure out how to end this.